As the days get shorter and the weather gets colder, some of us might find that there are changes in our energy levels, our mood, and yes, even our sex drive. Seasonal affective disorder, often called SAD for short, is a type of depression that is triggered by seasonal changes, usually as winter approaches. And like other forms of depression, SAD can come with symptoms like low energy, poor concentration, and a sense of hopelessness. But what a lot of folks don't realize is it can also impact your libido and your sense of intimacy. When you're dealing with SAD, your body's level of serotonin, which is the hormone that stabilizes our mood, creates happiness and a sense of well being, those levels are lower due to the lack of sunlight. At the same time, your levels of melatonin, which is the hormone that helps us regulate sleep, might increase. So, this combination can lead to feeling tired, sluggish, and less interested in sex. Your body's natural rhythms are disrupted, and so with that, so is your desire. It's also completely normal to find that if your mental health isn't in a great place, your sex drive also might not be either. It can feel like just a lower priority for you when you're managing the emotional ups and downs. So, if you or your partner are experiencing some impact with the changes in the seasons on your desire for sex, first, just know that that's okay, that is completely normal. Your body's response to these changing seasons is completely normal. If you do want to help manage SAD and its effects on your sex life, you can try things like light therapy, staying physically active, getting some movement into your day, spending some time outside during the daylight hours if you can. And also, don't forget that intimacy isn't just about sex. Cuddling, deep conversations, holding hands, just some quality time, whether with another person or with yourself, can help maintain that sense of connection during a really tough season. Either way, you are not alone in this. A lot of people experience SAD, and talking openly about it is something that can help you feel heard and validated and a little more understood. Well, that's it for today's Sex Ed You Wish You Had. Let's dive into our episode. Today, our conversation is about when the holidays hurt, just how to navigate this time of year when you're not feeling festive, when maybe you're not excited or you have a range of emotions going on that are just not contributing to this being a jolly, joyful time of year for you, which is perfectly healthy and normal for a lot of folks. I want to first talk a little bit about what are some of the reasons that folks can be feeling really down during the holidays or feeling just not in a festive mood, or why the holidays may hurt, so to speak. And the first is loneliness, whether that's because you're not in a relationship or you're not able to spend a lot of time with family or friends or loved ones. It can be really difficult this time of year when so many things are centered around togetherness, whether it's family, romance, partnership, even friendship. There's so many activities, and just kind of the theme of this time of year is connection and togetherness. And that can be really difficult for folks who don't have strong, healthy, safe, loving connections in their life. Whether, again, it's because you're estranged from your family, whether it's because you're not in a relationship or recently ended a relationship, it can just be a really tough time to be navigating all of that. There's also the worry or the feelings of being left out, wondering, am I going to look out of place or feel out of place if I go to some of these events that seem to be very family centered, and I don't have children and I don't have a partner and I'm just going by myself? Is that going to look weird or feel weird? Am I going to be uncomfortable with that? When it can seem like everyone around you has someone or a group of someones that they can spend this time of year with or spend this occasion with, and that doesn't feel true for you. It can be really difficult because, again, it's like it's in your face all the time. There are a lot of events that are being advertised for families, for couples. Engagement ring ads are all over the place, and if that doesn't resonate with where you are in your life or what your life currently looks like, that can be really hard. That can be really difficult. There can also be this element of grief or loss around the holidays. Again, togetherness is a huge theme for this time of year. And so if you have lost someone that you love and care about, this can be a really difficult and painful reminder of that loss. Maybe there were certain traditions that you had with this person, or you just looked forward to seeing them or spending time with them, and that is no longer an option or no longer an opportunity for you. It doesn't matter whether this loss occurred last week, last month, or last decade. Either way, it can be really hard and really painful to face the first holiday season, another holiday season without the love and physical presence of someone that you miss dearly. And there's also those secondary losses that come as a result of the original loss, right? So maybe someone you really love and care about has passed away, and they were the ones who always were the first to call you on a holiday or send you a cute text, or you could usually count on a holiday card in the mail from this person. And you're reeling from, the realization that losing this person also means losing that tradition, losing that connection, losing that experience. And so it can just make this time of year feel really hard and really heavy for a lot of people. Again, that loneliness or feeling left out, sometimes it's not because you're not in a relationship. Sometimes it's because there's some conflict in your family dynamics or family relationships. And so many people around you are talking about how they're going to this person's house or a grandparent's house, or this is where my family always gathers for the holidays. Here are some of our traditions. And maybe you're sitting there thinking and feeling, wow, like that would really be nice to have a group of people who I share history with, and I can also share in joyous occasions with. But unfortunately, that's not my life. That's not my situation. Maybe you're missing some folks that you have an estranged relationship from. Again, going back to that feeling of grief, right? Like death is not the only sort of loss that we can experience. It's not the only time or the only reason why we might experience grief. Maybe there's even some pressure to reconnect with people from your past or from your family. It's, oh, Auntie so and so hasn't been here in years. It's the holidays. The holidays are about family. You should want to be here and want to see them and want to spend some time with them. And maybe there's some external pressure or even some internal pressure, feeling guilty for not wanting to be around your family, or guilty for, being hurt or upset. And it can make it really difficult as well, because what do I do with those feelings? I want to be with my family, and I recognize that may not be the healthiest or most enjoyable situation for me. And it can feel like just a lose lose situation. And I know we've talked before in a previous episode about the financial stress that can come along with this time of year, whether that's, for decorations, for traditions, for gifts, for traveling, all of these things that the cost of them can really add up. Especially if you're like, oh, some people are splitting these costs with their partner or with their family, and that's not an option for me. Or I'm in between jobs, or I'm working a job that I already don't really like and they don't pay that well, and now I have to figure out how I'm going to buy a plane ticket or buy 30 gifts for my family and friends. Just that financial stress, or how I'm going to buy gifts for my children. Those sorts of things can make it really difficult. And then you add, the element of social media, and everyone can see what everyone's buying for each other, and what everyone, the gifts that everyone received, or the trips that they took, and the matching pajamas, and the holiday card photos. All of those things just add to, it's just a reminder. It can feel like that you don't have these things, and this isn't your life right now, which again can be really hard and really hurtful. Another reason why this time of year can be difficult for folks is just thinking about, as we talked about in our Sex Ed You Wish You Had segment, seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. It's very common for a lot of people this time of year to notice that change in their mood. Again, maybe feeling more sluggish, just kind of irritable or frustrated, just kind of down in the dumps. Maybe you can't even really put your finger on exactly what emotion you're feeling or why. Your energy is low, all of those sorts of things, because your body is responding to the changes in seasons. Sometimes I wonder if that response is because everything else in nature this time of year is going into hibernating, is going into a season of rest and restoration, and we'll try again in the spring and when things are bright and new and shiny. But as humans, we got to go to work, and we got to pay bills, and we got to take care of our family and all these other things. And so we don't get that kind of natural built-in period. And so sometimes I wonder if the mood changes that folks experience during this time of year is because your body is saying, hey, I'm tired. I've been ripping and running and on the go, and I am exhausted. and maybe you don't experience depression any other time of the year, but you do notice that you get the winter blues or the holiday blues, or this is just a really challenging time for you. And even if you don't necessarily experience, seasonal affective disorder, you could still experience some other mental health challenges. Maybe you do already experience clinical depression or anxiety, or have some trauma in your history, and this time of year is triggering for those experiences, or just makes it feel harder or heavier. Those are some things that just, yeah, you might be experiencing, whether you have seasonal affective disorder or not. This time of year can absolutely be tough on folks who have mental health challenges throughout the rest of the year and folks who don't. When we think about emotions that might come up this time of year, or how we might respond during this time of year, a number of things kind of come to mind. Again, you might feel that sadness, you might have some depression, there might be some anxiety, just because of all of the things that come along with this time of year. Or maybe you have anxiety in general and you find that it's especially triggered or activated during this time of year. Some folks might experience just this really strong desire to isolate themselves or withdraw from other people or the connections in their lives. Like, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to travel. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. Just leave me in my bed with my blanket and my hot cocoa and come back for me when all of this is over with, right? Like, that's a very common response to, I'm just not feeling it. My mood is low. My energy is low. I've heard people say sometimes they didn't want to be a party pooper or kind of bring down the vibe of other people who are really excited about this time of year. And so they just kind of stayed to themselves, or went into their little shell during the holidays or during the winter time. And even that, even the things that you're doing to try to support yourself, like withdrawing or isolating, there can be some guilt or shame that comes along with that, because we get into the shoulds again. I should want to go spend time with my family. I should be excited that I'm able to buy gifts for people and look forward to that. I should. And yeah, we can feel guilty or we can feel ashamed for not being able to do those things, or not even wanting to do those things that we should want or should be able to do. Some folks kind of numb or find themselves feeling numb or realizing, I'm just going through the motions. I'm showing up, I'm physically present, but emotionally, I am not here. I am disconnecting. I am numbing out, emotionally, mentally, because being fully present in this space or in this time of year does not feel good for me. It does not sound appealing to me. It sounds stressful, exhausting. I don't want any parts of it. And so, again, it's a part of how we protect ourselves or try to give ourselves what we need, or at least what we think we need, by maybe zoning out or disconnecting. Of course, that makes it challenging when you're already struggling with feeling isolated or disconnected from folks. If kind of one of the ways you tend to protect yourself, or how you tend to cope with those things, is to further isolate. But that's an episode for another day, about how those cycles can kind of perpetuate themselves. The alternative for a lot of people is trying to put on a happy face, trying to fake it till you make it, just going through the motions again. I'm showing up. Oh yeah, I'm great. I'm fine. Everything's wonderful. Work is great. The kids are great. The relationship is great. And that can get so exhausting. Trying to be cheerful because you feel like you're supposed to, or you should be cheerful, it can lead to some resentment. You can just be burnt out and exhausted and even more annoyed, maybe, than before you started, trying to fake that cheerfulness, especially if you're doing it for the benefits of other people, because you don't want them to be worried about you, or you don't want to be upset. You don't want to be the party pooper. And so, okay, I'm just going to grin and bear it. I'm going to slap a smile on my face and show up and do the things. But on the inside, you're exhausted, you're burnt out, you're worn down. And maybe what you want more than anything now is to withdraw, is to retreat back into yourself, or isolate yourself. Other responses that people might experience this time of year, again, those feeling more sensitive or more aware of your triggers, feeling more easily triggered, whether that's from memories of loss that you've had, memories of other traumatic experiences that you've had. It could be a certain song, it could be, an anniversary date of a traumatic event approaching for you, or of a loved one's birthday, or just knowing that this is the season that you would have seen this person, or the season that XYZ event happened. You see a family photo, again, hear a song, or you're back at this same location, can be really difficult navigating feeling triggered and feeling upset by some of those things. We can get flooded by our emotions, especially anxiety and worry or depression. When you're in an environment when everyone around you just seems happy to be here, and everybody's just having a great time, and they're yelling and they're singing and they're dancing and all of that, you can get flooded with emotions. Like, it's all rushing at you all at one time. One, because you're being surrounded by other people's emotions, and maybe some of that feels overwhelming, but also it can feel like all of these feelings inside are just washing over you all at the same time. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm grieving, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated, I'm hurt, I'm numb. Any of those things can just overwhelm you, and just feel like they're taking over your body, taking over your mind, taking over your experience. And for some people, this time of year, whether this is their experience throughout the rest of the year or not, it can definitely bring on some feelings of suicide ideation, or wanting to harm yourself, wanting to end your life, and feeling like this is it. This is the end. It doesn't get better. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be dealing with this anymore. And we have to just be honest that for this time of year, while for a lot of people, it is a time of joy and love and celebration, for others, it is a time of despair and hopelessness, and everything just feels gray and cloudy and heavy. And some people are experiencing both of those things pretty much at the same time. Maybe it's like, oh, I love this time of year, and I love the lights and the songs and the gifts and the quality time, and I'm also reminded about what I don't have, or what I used to have, or what I've never had. And that can be really difficult. And for some people, again, it can feel like the only way out of this, or the only way to get away from these thoughts or feelings, is to end my life. And I want to just be frank about that. I don't want to sugarcoat that, or use any coded language or anything talking about that, because it's a very real experience. And the more we try to, tap dance around it, or make it sound cute and pretty, or sanitize it, it honestly just adds to that stigma of this is something that we, again, should not be talking about. And I just don't agree with that. I think we need to normalize that these are thoughts and feelings that people can live with every single day of their life, every single day. And for some people, maybe those thoughts or feelings only come up around a certain time of year, or maybe they feel worse or stronger only around a certain time of year. But either way, we have to talk about it. We have to acknowledge that very real reality. Now, if you're thinking, well, this sounds like a lot of doom and gloom, what am I supposed to do about it? Yeah, I am feeling all of these things, or I am having all of these really difficult emotions and experiences, but what? How do I get through the season when I'm not excited about it, when the holidays are more hurtful than they are enjoyable? And so I didn't want to leave it with just, yep, you might be feeling depressed, or you might be feeling this or that way, and then that be it. I do want to talk about some tips for how do we navigate this time of year, again, when you're not feeling very festive. I know I've said this before, and I'm going to reiterate it. One of the first things I would recommend is, as much as you can, or as best as you can, let go of this idea of the perfect holiday or the perfect holiday season. All of the things that you have in your head of what it's supposed to be like, and what it's supposed to feel like, and how it's supposed to go, how I should feel, what I should do, all of these things, these pressures, these expectations, whether they're coming from internally or externally, let them go, put them down. If they are not serving you, if they are draining you, that would be my first recommendation. Put those things down, let them go. Take a moment to really sit with, what do you need during this season? I want you to really ask yourself, what do I need during this season? Do I need more rest? Do I need time alone? Do I need to take a break from some of the traditions that I'm used to keeping because they're a lot of work and I'm exhausted from that? What is it that you need? Do you need some quality time with a loved one, with your family, with some friends? What do you need? If you ask yourself and really check in with your mind, with your body, with your spirit, what do I need? Let's start there. Some years maybe you need, like, I need to be around people. I need to feel the love and joy from being around people. I need to see some little children running around happy and smiling without a care in the world. That's what I need. Or maybe it's like, I've so many of my holiday seasons have looked like that. I need some peace and quiet. I need a spa day. I need 12 hours where I don't have any responsibilities and no one is looking for me and I can turn my phone off and just take a nap. What is it that you need? And from there, let that guide kind of how you navigate this season. One idea is to create new traditions or new routines, redefining what this season or what any particular holiday means for you or looks like for you. Maybe it's not about presents, maybe it's about sleep, maybe it's not about biological family and it's more about chosen family. Maybe you're more interested in a Friendsgiving, or maybe it's like, oh, this is the time of year where I just get to kind of shut down from working and all of those things and just take a few days for myself, a few days to enjoy some peace and quiet. What do you want this time to look like? Maybe you're so used to doing a lot of cooking for others and you're exhausted and burnt out from that. And so now your new tradition is, I'm ordering pizza because I just want to relax this year. Are there any meaningful, valuable, intentional choices that you can make? If this time of year in general is just hard or heavy for you, again, we talked about some things that can be helpful. Getting some sunlight during the day. Can I take a 10-minute walk to start my morning or to enjoy the last 10 minutes of daylight, or on my lunch break? Can I do some journaling, some more crafting? Can I read a little bit more or spend 10 minutes less on my phone or on social media? Whatever those small changes might be that are still meaningful. I know some folks, or know of some folks, who bake their way through the grief that they experience during the holiday season. That's their tradition, is baking cakes and getting to give them away, or volunteering, spending time with others, whatever that may look like for you, whatever changes might be helpful for you. But first, it's helpful if you know what you need, because then that can inform what you do from there, what kind of changes you make. Are there any small moments of joy that you can embrace? And when I say small, I mean small. It does not have to be grand. It does not have to be something that would even register to anyone else. It could be, you thought you were all out of your favorite drink in your fridge, and then you find one hiding in the back. We can be thankful for that. We can have joy around that. It can be, I really like the way this candle smells, and so I'm going to light this candle for no reason or no occasion other than the fact that I want to. Where can we find some small joy? What can we express some gratitude for? And it doesn't have to be, again, grand gesture things. It doesn't have to be things that might be on someone else's list. It could be, I'm glad that I didn't see that family member this year that I probably would have got into an argument with, and it might have ruined my day or ruined my week. I'm glad I got a good parking spot when I had to go out to the store earlier, or this thing that I'm trying to order that is always out of stock was actually in stock this time. I'm grateful that the sun came up and the temperature wasn't too hot or too cold. Whatever it may be, can you find some moments of gratitude? And I know it sounds so cliche. Just be grateful, just be grateful, just be grateful. And I don't mean it in that way. I mean it more in the sense of, when we give our brains something to think about, it can be really helpful. And so maybe it's a challenge for you. Find something that you can be grateful for. I'm grateful that I can feel the wind on my face, or I'm grateful, whatever it might be, however you can kind of fill in those blanks. Again, it doesn't have to be something grand, it doesn't have to be anything that anyone else would agree with. It's just for you. Now, I wouldn't be a therapist if I didn't talk to you about self care. And I know some of you are probably rolling your eyes like, here we go again. Self care, self care, self care. Self care doesn't fix the world. It doesn't fix your family. It doesn't fix your circumstances. It is not a magic wand that, just makes everything go away. It makes all your problems go away. It is, however, a way to remind yourself that you still deserve to be a priority. Even when the world is falling apart and the sky is falling and everything and everyone gets on your nerves and everything feels dark and gray and heavy, you still deserve to be a priority and to be taken care of. Thinking about what can you do for your physical health, whether that's, again, can you take a short walk or do some chair yoga, some chair stretches? Can you prioritize going to sleep at a time that feels good for you? Or eating something you enjoy or something that's good for your body. Just those small changes that can do wonders for your energy, for your mood, especially this time of year when the days are shorter and colder and just a little more challenging to deal with. How can you take care of yourself mentally and emotionally? What are the things that help you feel good or help you feel at peace? Those things that bring you a sense of calm. Can we build in more of those things into your day or into your routine? Or I'll say, can we cut out some of those things that don't contribute to your joy or to your peace? If it's like, I don't want to be doom scrolling on social media all winter long, can we set some limits on that? Can we take a break from that altogether? Can you, send a text or give a call to someone that you're wanting to connect with or that helps, fill you up or helps you experience a little bit of joy? I also want to encourage you, and as part of taking care of yourself, to reach out for some support if you need to. If that's what you need, again, because we've checked in and we've asked ourselves, what do I need during this season? Can we reach out for that? If so, can you connect with friends or family who do feel safe and loving and welcoming and supportive for you? Can you find that support network either in person or online? Maybe you already are a part of different groups or different communities where you're able to share your experiences with others and hear their experiences and get some of that support. It's so amazing the way that social media or technology connects us from all over. You could have someone who feels like one of your very best friends that you've never even met in real life because they live on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, but you know so much about them because you're in regular communication with them. Do you have spaces like that, or are you interested in looking for spaces like that? There are some mental health apps and resources out there that could also be helpful. Some of the apps like Headspace or Calm or the Finch app that give you all sorts of resources, from setting self care goals to guided meditations, all of these sorts of things that just help you remember that it's important to take care of yourself. You deserve to be taken care of, especially by yourself. There's also some, crisis resources and hotline resources if you do find yourself in a position of, this is more than I'm just sad or I'm depressed or I don't want to be around people. I'm actually thinking about harming myself or hurting myself or harming someone else. I want some support around this. I want to or need to talk to someone about this. Maybe it's not at the point where you're worried about harming someone else, but you are feeling lonely and depressed, and that's still really difficult for you to manage. We have options for either of those. Particularly if it's like, I just really want to talk to someone, maybe talk to someone who gets it, who understands, who can relate, who can provide me with some support. It might be a really great idea to reach out to a warm line. A warm line is different from a hotline. A hotline is typically for folks who are in crisis of like, I'm having lots of thoughts and feelings and I don't know what to do with them. I don't know if I can keep myself safe or keep myself from acting on them. Whereas a warm line is like, I just really want want to talk to somebody. Again, somebody who gets it, somebody who understands, and someone who can be supportive. The National Alliance on Mental Health, or NAMI for short, they have compiled a list that was just updated earlier this year of some resources for warm lines where you can talk to someone, often a peer support person, meaning they have some experience with some of the things that you might be calling about. And it doesn't have to mean that you're in crisis, or you don't have to wait until you're in crisis to reach out to someone. So make sure you check out the show notes, because I'll have a link to that list, to that resources. There are some that are specific to people living in certain states, and there are others that answer calls from folks all around the nation. And so they do have that kind of sorted out for you. If you are looking for more crisis line things, again, like I'm feeling unsafe in some way, or these thoughts are really hard and really heavy, I can't seem to shake them or get myself out of them, you may want to check out a crisis line or a hotline. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is very easy to access. They've made it even easier to access. You can call or text 988 to get some support. You can also go to their website and chat with them online. They have folks who are available to work with you in Spanish as well. And so that's another resource to maybe kind of tuck in your back pocket if things are feeling especially challenging for you and you're wanting to reach out for some type of help or support. Now, anytime we're talking about connection or relationship, we have to remember that it is bi-directional. It is interactions between at least two people, which means that we can't put all the responsibility on the person who may be feeling sad or lonely or having a hard time this holiday season to just support themselves through it. Being in community with other people means being in community with other people, checking on them, being aware of how they're doing and how they're feeling. Now, I'm not saying you got to be their therapist. I'm not saying, that you should take on that level of responsibility, but keeping in mind, are there folks in your life, friends or other loved ones, who have gone through some really significant transitions or hard transitions, since the last holiday season or even several years ago, and you notice that this tends to be a harder time for them? Maybe you notice, oh, I don't really hear from so and so much around this time of year. And actually, that started after, XYZ happened, after their relationship ended, after their loved one passed away. Reaching out to those folks in your life that you love and that you care about who might be having a hard time, during this time of year can be really helpful. It doesn't have to be a, a lot. It doesn't, again, have to be a grand gesture. A quick message, a phone call, a text. It just says, I'm thinking of you. It can really make a difference to let someone know, I know this is a hard time for you, and I'm thinking of you. I care about you. And if you are checking in on someone or having conversation with them, try to use open-ended questions instead of just saying, are you okay? Or are you sad? Or is this a hard time of year for you? Just asking them, how have things been for you this week? Is there anything on your mind that you'd like to talk about? To let them know, I'm genuinely interested in you and your well-being and how you're doing. Doesn't mean we have to force or require a response. Just say, hey, I'm reaching out to check in. Is there anything on your mind? How have things been this week? It's been a month since we've talked. How's this last month been for you? Those sorts of things, and just wanting to listen without trying to fix their problems or solve their problems, or like, oh, well, you should just do this or that and then you won't be sad, or, well, look on the bright side, it could be worse, or any of those things. Like, just listen and have some empathy for, wow, like that does sound really hard. Like, I'm so sorry to hear that you're dealing with that and going through that. I'm here to support you, those sorts of things. It can also be incredibly powerful to offer some invitations without pressure or expectations. If it's like, hey, we have room at holiday dinner, you are more than welcome to join us. We'll be meeting at this place at this time. Here's what the day typically looks like. If you can make it, I would love to have you. Do you need a ride? Any of those things, but also making it very clear. I get it. You might not feel like being around a bunch of people, and that's fine. They can decline your invitation. If you want them there or would like them there or would enjoy them being there, I think it's fair and valid to still extend the invitation. Hey, maybe you've made other plans. Maybe you're not interested in participating in any kind of festivities this year. either way, I want you to know that you are invited and you are welcome if you'd like to join us. And are there some flexible or low key plans that we can kind of create? Yeah, I know you don't want to do the whole big dinner with 50 people. Totally get that. What if we have a movie night, the day before the holiday, or the before everyone else comes into town, if we just take a walk together, or I'll come over and just hang out with you, or we can plan for once everyone has left town to get together, whatever the case might be. I know that you really set that firm boundary and you're not going to your family holiday dinner this year. Would you like to spend that time together? We could do something completely unholiday related, just thinking about how can I show up for people that I'm in community with and let them know that I am in actual community with them? Is there anything you can help with, whether those small tasks or errands that they may need some assistance with? Because again, this time of year can make energy low and motivation low and just mood low in general. And so some things that feel really small and minor and insignificant can feel really heavy and burdensome. You need some help folding those clothes? No problem. Need some help cleaning up, or you need me to run out and pick up some paper towels and soap and lotion for you from the store? No problem. I got it. I can do that. You're mailing gifts because you can't make it home for the holidays this year. You need some help wrapping them, or you need a ride to drop them off at the post office. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to put yourself in situations that are not sustainable for you and say, well, I actually can't do some of these things, or I'm not available to do some of these things. That's fine. But if you are, and if you are willing to be in community with the people in your life, these are just some ways or some tips to do that. Can we create new traditions together, or can you include them into some of your traditions? Like, oh, we have a holiday baking day where we just bake cupcakes and cookies and all of these things, and they're just for us. Whatever the case might be, thinking about or taking inventory of the folks in your life who can maybe use or benefit from some extra support and community care this time of year. You can also help by connecting them with some of those additional resources. Maybe you listen to this episode and it makes someone pop in your mind of like, oh, I didn't know there was a thing called warm lines where you could call even if you're not in crisis and you just want to be able to speak with someone. Oh, I'm going to make sure I share that with my friend so and so, because I know that that's something that might be helpful for them. Or I'm going to make sure I let them know, hey, if you forget the warm line number, I saved the link. I can send it to you again. Here's some information if you do feel like you're in crisis. Like, I just want you to know and not have to think about what can you do. I want to help you kind of have some action steps or a plan in place. Ultimately, being patient and respecting the needs and the boundaries of the folks in your life that you care about who might be having a hard time this year is really important and really powerful. Some folks may be like, listen, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling social. I don't want to come out. Thanks for the invitation. I'm not interested. And you can respect that and say, hey, I totally get it. Thanks for letting me know. You're welcome to join us. If you change your mind, just let me know. And kind of continuing to check in, because the pain or the grief or those hard feelings of the holiday season don't magically fade away after the holidays. Sometimes it can be really helpful to have that continued connection and to know I'm not just thinking about you on this one particular day or this one particular season. You're on my mind generally. And maybe I don't check in every single day or even every single week, but when I do get a moment, I just want to check in and see how you're doing, or let you know that I'm thinking about you. It can be incredibly powerful and helpful just to know that somebody is on your side, somebody gets it, somebody cares, and someone sees you, really sees you, and is wanting and willing to hold some space for you. Now, I am going to give you a little homework just to kind of bring this conversation to life and really help you personally apply it to your life. So here's our personal practice for this week. I want you to think about that question I asked earlier. What do you need this holiday season? Do you need rest? Do you need community? Do you need peace? Do you need family, friends, distance, space, freedom? What do you need? And what are 3 ways you can take steps towards what you need or honor what you need? If you need support, can you call a warm line, text a friend, and schedule a date with a friend and schedule a self-care date? That's 3 things right there. If you need space or alone time, can you plan a day that you're going to take a nice warm bubble bath and order your favorite meal instead of having to cook? Get a massage, do some journaling. If you need to know that the folks in your life are cared for and checked in on, can you do that? Can you text your friend and say, "Hey, I was listening to this episode and we were talking about, how to take care of yourself during the holidays and get what you need. And I know that this time of year can be really rough for you. What do you need? How are you going to help yourself get those things? How can I help you? Oh, you need some stuff dropped off at the post office. You need someone to come with you while you do your end of the year deep clean. Cool, no problem. Here's how I can help. Here's what I'm able to do. I can't do this, but I can do that. So again, what is it that you need? And what are 3 ways or 3 steps you can take to at least get you closer to getting what you need? I want to leave you with this last thought that it is absolutely okay to feel out of sync with the holiday season. It is okay if the spirit of this time is festive and joyful and exciting for what feels like every single person except for you. That is okay. However you are feeling, however you are responding to those feelings and what this time of year brings, it's okay that you feel that way. I encourage you to please, please treat yourself with kindness, grace, and patience, and reach out for support whenever or if ever you need it. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to From the Heartside Out, hosted by See the Sex Lady, produced by Christine Johnson of Pure Pod Vibes, and music by Rico the Artist. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your platform of choice. And don't forget to share with a friend so they can learn something too. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this episode. Please send any comments or questions to podcast@seethesexlady.com. That's podcast@CEEthesexlady.com. Until next time, keep loving, living, and leading from the heart side out.